She has a different definition for cut and paste. That Funmi literally cut and pasted with glue stick.
I can't call it a leap of faith because I really didn't know what I was doing. So I didn't know, I had no clue that church is difficult. I just said, you know what? I want to just go and practice my law. Let me just give God what he wants and be done with it and go to New York and have my practice, And so the church started 23 years ago. But then looking back, I realized that, wow, for people on the outside, they were like, how did you do it? They used to ask me, how? And I'm like, I didn't even know what they were talking about because I had absolutely no clue. No clue. I was just naive and maybe a little stupid because it's only...
My husband is supposedly gentle, but he's a very daring person. So a lot of people don't know him like that. So it takes a lot of things. God tells him to do something, he just jumps on it. I'm like, I'll be the one to plan and plan. He'll be like, let's do it. God was healing hearts and restored, I think, possibly a marriage that was, nobody knew what was going to happen. And as people watched in amazement, I watched in amazement because all I did was I just obeyed.
Man, wow, that's powerful. We serve an amazing, amazing God. So the next question here is, what would you say was the biggest act of faith or leap of faith that you've taken as a Christian? Or maybe more than one, if you have a few.
For me, it was my children's education. Because education is just a passion that I have. By God's grace, I'm seriously working towards getting my PhD. It's just a passion that I have. When we had Erin, I started to look into Christian schools, and I came across this school in Delaware. It's been around for a long time, Delaware County Christian DCC or something like that. And I was like, there's no way we can afford this. Even then, I was still, working at an IT job, which was quite tangible. So I was like, there was no way that we can afford this. But I never stopped. And then when I would come back from work, on my way from work, I used to listen to the news and I would hear all these hideous stories of what's happening in public schools and this and that, and children on the bus doing this and that. And I would see some children on the bus, at the back of the bus, and I'm like, I can never send my children to public school. I'm sorry if you went to public school, it's okay. No offense, I just did not have the heart, and God deals with everybody at their level. Mm-hmm. So I just didn't have the heart for it. I would call my sister and I would say, Mama, how did your children go through? I just, no offense, please. This is my personal testimony. So when it was time for Erin to go to kindergarten, I didn't have a problem because the kindergarten in our school district is all kindergartners. The school is called Kindergarten Center. So there are like 10 kindergarten classes of maybe 15. A school of like 300 to 400 kindergartners. So I didn't have a problem with that. So when it was first grade, I said, I can't afford Christian school, I can't afford private school, and I can't afford public school either. So I homeschooled. And Erin, she was done with the curriculum in like 3 months, excelling. We didn't know what we were doing the first day. I had some mentors. I don't know if you remember. I'm sure you do. Brother Victor Ladokun of 700 Club and his wife, Sister Gina. So they also homeschooled. Their children went to Christian school when their first daughter was going to get to her final year in high school, because they were like, oh, she wants to have a graduating class, she wants to have that. So they transitioned their children in their first daughter's last year. So I used to call them, they mentored us, they told us what to do. The first day I didn't know what I was doing. Anyway, she finished the curriculum in 3 months. We started teaching her all kinds of other things, respiratory system. Her daddy was teaching her all kinds of things. She was just guzzling everything. I was pumping her with so much information, math, all kinds of things. Anyway, so and the school district was now calling us. Where is she? She's not registered in any school. Where is this child? I'm like, she's my daughter. But because she went to kindergarten, she was in the system and it showed that she was not in any school. So they began to call. So anyway, we had to finally let them know that we're homeschooled. So they left us alone. So to now go to a proper for second grade, by this time, it was apparent that I was loading her with it. I mean, like, she was doing all kinds of things. She was in a lot of programs. We had a homeschool group. She had Explorer Girls to another church. She was occupied, like, but, and Tenny was saying, Mommy, I'm not going to be homeschooled. So Tenny was in preschool, as a Christian preschool. So anyway, I started to study and read. Anyway, to cut the long story short, we found this school and it was exactly what I wanted. It was exactly the kind of education that I wanted and that I was given her. And I found out that it was called classical education. And then I said, let me do a search and see if there's classical Christian school. And I found. And then before then, we found a homeschool group, because the homeschool group that she went, it was once a week. But this homeschool group was more structured. It was like three days a week. They had sports, they had uniform, and they were 4 days a week. So it was still homeschool and, but they had classes. And then we went to this other school in Newark, Delaware, which was like 1 hour away. And my husband said, that is the school they're going. Because I was still thinking of this school, which was 15 minutes drive from the house. They had good sports. It was $150 a month. And I was thinking, where are we going to get $150 a month? And then my husband says, we are going to Delaware. Anyway, we went to, I won't bore you. To cut the long story short, this school year, we spent our 12th year at the school. 12th year. My daughter is now, she's going to be a sophomore, and my son is going to graduate this time next year. So that was a leap of faith. I can't tell you the things that happened in between. The first week that we went, the first 2 weeks, everything. Our cars that had no problem, they began to have problems. Stopping on the highway, stopping at Staples, buying schools. So, I mean, it was, sometimes we will see like the terminal of the car physically lifted up from the car. Like, how does this happen? How does the terminal of the battery lift? It was almost as if somebody was physically trampling our, it was a lot. But you know what? If I had to do it again, I would do it the same way. And that was a leap of faith. And I was looking at tuition when we started. It's well double or almost triple when we started. And that was a leap of faith, because we didn't know where we were. We had stopped working. My regular job, were in the ministry. Both of us were not really getting paid. There was a time that our houses, the 2 houses that we had, they were up for foreclosure. I mean, it was a lot. But through it all, we have stabilized. God has been faithful. The children are thriving. I just thank God. That was a leap of faith of 12 years. But God has been faithful. Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing. God is indeed faithful. And I didn't realize that you homeschooled them either. Maybe I knew that a long time ago, but I definitely forgot. But yeah, I didn't know that at all, but that's interesting. Okay, Auntie Funmi.
My leap of faith. Well, the one that comes to my mind is, and I don't think it was a leap of faith, is when I started church, Living Spring, 23 years ago. I can't call it a leap of faith because I really didn't know what I was doing. So I didn't know, I had no clue that church is difficult. I just said, you know what? I want to just go and practice my law. Let me just give God what he wants and be done with it and go to New York and have my practice, And so the church started 23 years ago. But then looking back, I realized that, wow, for people on the outside, they were like, how did you do it? They used to ask me, how? And I'm like, I didn't even know what they were talking about because I had absolutely no clue. No clue. I was just naive and maybe a little stupid because it's only it's only that it was stupid, God's stupid. So I was foolish enough not to know anything, so he could just do whatever he wanted to do. So I think that would probably be what somebody on the outside would call a big leap of faith for me. But again, for me, when you talk about a leap of faith, you know what the risks are, you know what the dangers are, and you still go ahead. But I had no clue. I just did whatever, and here we are today. And on hindsight, I realized that this was great faith. But again, I can't say it was great faith because I did not know.
It's so funny. I remember where I was when she called us in Lagos. I was my brother's house at Eco Court, and my mom was in the room, and she called and she said, we happened to be in my brother's house. She was like, I'm starting a church. I just thought, what's wrong with her? I'm like, this is crazy. You're there, and because her husband was still in Nigeria. Then I'm like, you don't even, you're just settling down. And we're like, yeah, God will help you. But I was thinking in my heart that, what is this? And talking about our leap of faith, I think all my family members also thought that we had gone out of our minds, because the very first day, I remember Sister Funmi came and Brother Tokwe, her husband, and I think they came to see, are we alive? They actually came on the first day of school to see the children, to say that when they came, the children were like this. They were out. Poor children driving one hour when there's no traffic. So they were like, are they still there? Are you still there? And we're still there. Yes. But they came to check on us to see, how are you guys? How did you guys make out? Yeah, but God is faithful.
Again, looking at hearing Fola's testimony about the children's school, and also looking at the church, I just want to say to somebody that we over rationalize. We think too much. We think, I know God gave us common sense and we are supposed to use it, but please, can we let God be God? Like I said, I had absolutely no clue what I was doing. I had none. Well, maybe Fola understood what they were getting themselves in for. I'm sure she didn't know half of it, But here we are, 12 years after, 23 years after. People will look and see where we are now and think, oh, no, there's a story behind it. Even that 23 years ago when the church started, when Fola came, she didn't tell me I was crazy, but she stepped in. I remember I was the choir, I was the usher, I was the publication, I was the everything, and I would, I will carry the tape recorder and be playing, and we will be following the praise on the tape. That was how we started. And then when she came, she took over the work of leading praise for us. And anyway, but look at what God has done today. And every time I look back, I'm like, if I hadn't been foolish enough to just do what I felt God was asking me to do, where would all these other people be? I know God would have done something with them, but it wouldn't have been the same. Or if she had over-rationalized the issue of school, where would the testimony be today? So sometimes, God, I say to people, God has 1,000,001 ways. 1,000,001 my story can never be the same as yours. The way God will provide for you, look at, I talked to you about my dental, my braces. Did I call them dentures? I wanted to say braces, my braces. Look at the way God provided it for me may not be the way he will do it for you. So don't ever look at somebody else's story and think that's how God, just believe God to do whatever you need done and leave him to work out how he will do it. Because he will do it. He will do it in an amazing way that is uniquely you, and that would be the best for you.
And I want to add, talking about stepping out. I mean, my husband was a dairy owner. I thought that this was crazy. I was just an obedient wife, and also it gave me an opportunity to teach, because I actually taught in the school for 2 years. And I don't think any public school or any other school will let me teach if I didn't have a teacher's license. So that's one of my passions, and now I mentor children and all that. So that gave me an opportunity to delve into the education world. And now we have 2 schools. We have one in Liberia and one in Nigeria. And, my husband is actually the one doing all that. But as my hands get freer, I'm working on helping. I help, but I'm not, he's actually the one running them. But I'm able to provide tips, but I know that I'm going to get involved more later. And also for the school that my children are in, I was invited to become a board member. I just thought, wow, I mean, because like the school, I mean, I really, really have so much thanks to God for the school. And I don't want to use the word reverence, but so much really appreciate. And for me to be on the board, it's such a privilege, to be able to be there. But if we never stepped out, we will not be there. And I just want to use this opportunity to appreciate and honor my sister. I mean, she's a real encourager. She's a strong woman. And, when she just jumps in, she just jumps into things. Like when I came for bulletin, when you say you cut and paste, she has a different definition for cut and paste. That for me literally cut and pasted with glue stick. I'm serious. With tape, scotch tape, to make the bulletin. She will type it in Word and she will cut and she will paste it, and then she will go to Kinko's and photocopy, and then we'll fold. It was as a result of that I said, and she'll be there till 2 a.m., 3 a.m. doing all those things. And the choir will come on Saturday morning to her house in the dining room by the kitchen, and not a dining room, the dining section by the kitchen, but she'll get donuts for them. And I just looked at that one day and I said, this woman cannot be going through this. So I learned how to use Publisher on account of her. And in my own right, I'm a graphics designer. I didn't go to graphics, but I've always had that passion, but that was where I learned how to do that. And there was a time she told me to come and teach people in our church how to do it. And my church, people that have gone under me, the children, everybody, the youth, he led me also into intertwining my children, publications, all that. It came as a result of that. So the way, the turnings and the twists and the connections of God, it's just amazing. You won't know until you actually step in. Either it's by obeying your husband or just doing something that came to your heart. Oh, well, let me try that. It doesn't hurt. You never know where you will end up. And you won't know if you didn't try what would have happened. So just...
And, let me jump in there, because sometimes in serving other people, I look around these days and, I just laugh, because I see everybody wants to do their own thing. Everybody wants to do their own thing. There are times that God has gifted you not to do your own thing, but to just be part of his agenda. Just do your own part, wherever he puts you. Look at her today. Because she was a computer person, the day I woke up in the middle of the night to do that bulletin, and she said, sister, go back to sleep. I already did it. you know, it was already done. Because I would wake up and do, like she said, I might not sleep till 3 a.m. because I had to, you know, and then I would still get up in the morning to run to Kinko's to do the photocopy and come back and pick everybody and go to church. So her learning how to do it because of me, and you may say, but she's your sister. Well, she may be my sister, but if she did not care, you know, today she's, then she finally got married to a pastor. And what she thought she was doing for me, she began to do for herself, leading the choir, leading, you know, she now had to do it, you know, but she had used, you know, the opportunity God gave her in serving somebody else to learn to do this thing. And so you never know. And, you know, you never know how God is going to make use of everything that he has exposed you to, allowed you to do, help, allowed you to serve in. Today, she's a member of that board. But I know she served there. When she said she was teaching, I don't know whether, you know, I know she was doing some services for them at the time and she wasn't getting paid for it. Maybe eventually they paid her for, you know, but initially she would just go and volunteer and do things. And today she, you know, so I just want to say to us, please, let's be more purpose focused. More purpose focused than I don't want to use fame, because I don't think it's fame that drives people or wealth. It's just that selfish, or let us be more purpose focused than ego focused and say, hey, my destiny. What destiny are we talking about? When the way we use the word destiny these days, no, the Bible doesn't even talk about destiny like that. The Bible talks about purpose. It's purpose. It's purpose. We are instruments. Unless the instrument is being used by somebody else, it is useless. So we are only instruments. I may be a spanner, you may be a hammer. Unless all of us are allowing God to use us as instruments, the whole work, the building will not be done. Somebody brings the hammer, somebody uses the spanner, somebody uses the screwdriver. And when all of these instruments, these tools are being used appropriately, then we have a beautiful building. It's not about the hammer saying, my destiny, my destiny. What destiny does anybody have? It's purpose. What are we building? And do your part in that building.
You know, and I just want to add, you know, Pastor Funmi also served as an usher at Christ Temple, which is our church. And if I don't know if she remembers, but she said, and then we had a special program at the church, and one of the Udulele brothers from London came, and she said it was at that meeting that the Lord prompted her to start a work in serving. You know, so you know, this thing that you said about destiny and purpose, I was having this conversation with my husband this week, and he had ministered on Wednesday, and he ministered on Isaiah 60, the one where the Spirit of God is upon me. I think maybe 61 verse 1. And I said, you know what, the way you minister tonight, for the first time, I'm seeing the ministry of Jesus and my purpose in a different way. Like, we have all these things like, what is your purpose? What is your God's purpose for your life? I said, the purpose is, it's every day healing the brokenhearted, you know, making sure you minister to somebody every day, and just that every day, you know, being an eyesight to someone, just every day being a blessing, you know. Don't be so caught up in that. I have to fulfill, you know, take a time to look at somebody else. So what you said really now really is profound. But anyway, over to you. We've taken over your. Stay plugged in, no matter how you're feeling. Just do it. Say, hey, if I had a project for $1 million, would I say I don't feel like doing it? No, I will still do it. So just do it anyhow. And that's why God says mammon and God, because people will do things for mammon that they won't do for God. They don't feel like going to work. They will do 3 hours. They will do 3 shifts. They will say, I'm tired, but I have to pay that bill. No, the same way. This is your life. This is your life.